Good morning. Excuse me. Good evening, Dr. Aldridge. My name is Anthony Jones. You know me. This is my week 5 master thesis video presentation. If you remember, I was looking at how leadership engagement affects teams across telecommuters, geographically separated teams, and traditional setups and teams. Um, this process has been really, really enlightening for me. I came in with the notion that, um, and my axe trap covers a lot of this, and I'm just going to kind of jump right into it. That good teams had good chemistry, they had good momentum, they had good communication, meaning that they were able to talk with each other on a regular basis. They were able to be honest with each other. They were actually able to challenge each other and not agree all the time, staying away from the group think mentality, but they were able to actually have healthy debates and arguments and stuff like that are healthy. Where you don't always have to agree, and people don't mind necessarily being the proverbial bad guy if they go against the grain. Um, I understood that all that was important with the communication parts and the leadership aspect and things like that. A quick story, real quick. I have one of my team members. So I have myself, I have 7 recruiters on my team, and then I have a civilian. So that makes up 9. One of my recruiters who lives in Savannah was up visiting my office earlier last week. And on the 9th of September, we're going down to Jacksonville, all 9 of us, to do a team training meeting down in Jacksonville, Florida. So my recruiter comes up from Pooler, Georgia, around the Savannah, Georgia area, and he says, hey, Sergeant Jones, I want to know if you guys could come down and help me with a speech that I have to give to some people that are leaving the Navy. And what that entailed with us leaving early, because we were about 3 hours away from him, and it's another 2 hours to get down to the location that he wanted to go to on our travel day on the 9th of September, is that we would have to leave, we being the whole team pretty much, would have to leave about 3 o'clock in the morning to get down to this recruiter's office in Savannah to meet with him, to then drive down to the location where this, speaking engagement was going to be at. We had to leave at 3 o'clock in the morning. So he asked me that question, and I said, well, I'll tell you what, man, look, if you sell it to the rest of the team and you're able to sell that to the rest of the team and the rest of the team wants to do it, then I'm 100% on board. I am all in on that. And he said, okay, cool. And so, as God would have it, the whole team just happened to be in the office or around the proximity. So they all came into the office, and he said, hey guys, this is the situation, and it would cost for y'all to leave at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I just kind of looked around the room, and people looked at me, and it was funny to see how the team was kind of like, no, we don't want to do that. But nobody just wanted to jump straight out there and say it, because then they're the bad guy, right? Plus, this guy that's asking, he's not necessarily doing too well with recruiting right now. So people want to help him. They don't want to be mean to him because, he's struggling and they want to be nice to him. But it's interesting to see how the team dynamics and how all that went. Eventually, my civilian, she stepped up and just said, yeah, that doesn't sound good. And then a couple other people kind of chimed in and said, yeah, since we didn't readily say, yeah, man, we're not going to do it. And they gave him some other great ideas that what we could do. We could do some training virtually. He could actually move the time back to, instead of him talking at 9 o'clock in the morning, he could talk at 3:15 in the afternoon, where we'd be down there. We would have to leave too early. And they gave him some really great stuff, and they consoled him. But I was really proud of the team at that moment. And excuse me, I share that story because it kind of goes into my project a little bit. My mentality is, I was thinking to myself and I was laughing. We talked about communities of practice, and we talked about all these different ways that we could communicate and group think, and just kind of how the dynamics of teams changes when you and I talked over the phone and we just talk on the video chat. I just kind of laughed to myself because the whole team went from being quiet to one person was being passive aggressive, like, well, we can, but we could do this, and they just slowly kind of came around to where, they ultimately was like, no, we're not going to do that. And one or two things were going to happen. Somebody was either going to step up out of their comfort zone and say, no, we're not going to do it. Or everybody was going to be like, I don't want to be the bad guy. They'll say yes, and we will do it. Anyway, I say all that because this whole class period has had me thinking in a tremendously different perspective in a different way. It's actually transformed my thought and my approach on how I talk to people and how I engage with people. I thought that, with the things that I mentioned earlier, that teams, had to have this chemistry and leadership and all this other things. And I believe that. I truly believe that. But I thought it was more so on the leader as far as being motivational and inspirational and being articulate and cool and having that aura to them. And doing some of the reading that we've had, it came out to where one of the surveys that I read in our chapters in our reading was that's not what people want. People want people that are authentic, which, okay, I get that, right? You want to be authentic. But one of the things that my research involves, and you'll see it, sir, is that leadership engagement is the key. Leadership engagement is the key. And you'll see on the slides that I have, the statistical tables that I have in a red category, yellow, green, and a blue, oftentimes the difference is just leadership engagement. Whether that leadership engagement is good, as in a servant leadership style, where I'm here, care about you, care about your family, care about your well-being, I want to check on you, make you feel part of the team, or whether that leadership engagement is just my foot to your behind and I'm micromanaging you and I'm all up in your Cheerios and I'm up in your Kool-Aid and I'm on you every step of the way. Either way, the leadership engagement is what's really driving the team. The leadership engagement is what's really raising the production. The leadership engagement is what's really pushing the team. Now, you hope it's good leadership engagement rather than the micromanaging, the non, as we would consider it, the reverse of the servant leadership type of way, right? But I just thought that was real eye-opening. I never just looked at it from that angle. And this whole class capstone in the research has taught me that it's leadership engagement is the key. You have to be engaged with your people. And that's what I've taken a lot from that. You'll see on my manuscript that I've added some more slides in there. I've actually put some asterisks next to the new paragraphs that I've added in. It seems like a lot of my manuscript has been the same for the foundational piece of it. And I just didn't want you to get bored, I'm looking at the same thing over and over and over again. So I put some new slides in there. The beginning slide showed where certain teams were, the 4 teams that I followed, how they were in the yellow, the red, the green, and the blue. How some teams stayed in the red, some teams came from the yellow to the green, some went from the green to the blue, and some stayed in the blue, and some slid out of the blue. And I have one set of slides that are earlier on in the manuscript, and then I have the second set of slides that are further down, I think page 18 or 19, somewhere around there, that show a little bit more current on how leadership engagement is. Leadership engagement is the key. I had my superintendent that's up in the Atlanta area and my commander come down that is up in the Atlanta area Tuesday of this following week. They're in charge of 12 different states, including Europe and the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, and all the states in the southeastern region. We have about 113 people in our squadron. They're responsible for all that, and they were with me. And it was the superintendent's first time talking with me, the commander's first time talking with me, and we were going back and forth. And the question was asked, and the question was, Sergeant Jones, do you believe that your people should work an 8 hour day? And my response was simple. My response was no. I don't put my guys on hours from an 8 to 5 or standard 8 hour shift. I let them determine their own schedule because I feel like if people work when they're able to, they'll work more hours. If you treat your people like team members, they'll stay until the job gets done. But if you treat them like employees, they'll stay till 5 o'clock. And then that sparked a conversation, which allows me to go into what we all need, which is leadership engagement. The reason that our teams have so much drive and so much trust and so much momentum is simply because it's leadership engagement. Whether that's you recognizing their birthday, recognizing that they've had a death in the family, recognizing that there's something that they like to do, like play sports, or recognize their kid's first day of school. Just being engaged with your people is what makes people drive and push for the leadership, the organization, the company, the people, the managers, whatever have you. And it's more of an intrinsic motivation to where you don't have to reward them with bonuses. You don't have to reward them with time off awards or anything like that. They're strictly pushing because they know that leadership is engaged with them and cares about them. And because of that, they're willing to push hard or run through a wall for you. So I'm actually a little bit like ashamed that I didn't actually put that piece together earlier, but through this project, through the research 505, and through this capstone study, I've come to the conclusion that based off everything, that leadership engagement is the key. I've gone over my time. The time seems to always go so fast. But in essence, sir, that's what my whole 23, 24 pages boils down to, that leadership engagement is the key, along with some other things, values, visions, and things like that. But you have to be engaged with your people in order to communicate your values, your visions, and the other things that are important in the organization. So with that being said, sir, this has been a great ride. This has definitely been fun. I use you as an example because you have been, I don't know if you know how other professors or doctors do in their courses, but you have by far been one of the most engaging with feedback, with discussion posts, just with what you have to say. You've definitely set a high bar. Yeah. Excuse me, I'm trying to beat a cough. You definitely set a high bar. So I appreciate you. I appreciate, you challenging me. I know that class members do as well. I just appreciate everything that you brung here. I still have one more class left before I finish, so because I had to get a waiver to take this actual class. But I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for everything that I was able to learn, and I just appreciate it. Once again, this is Anthony Jones, Week 5 Capstone Study. I'm signing off.